The summer evening should have been ordinary, but one reckless sentence changed two lonely lives forever. I never imagined that pretending to protect someone would become the moment that rewrote my future. One second I was trying to stop an uncomfortable situation from getting worse, and the next I heard my own voice calling the woman next door my girlfriend. Before I could apologize or explain, she reached for my hand with surprising confidence, held it tightly, and silently told me not to take it back. In that instant, I realized that some people aren't waiting for grand love stories, they're simply waiting for someone to choose them when the world has stopped believing they deserve it. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us of the beauty hidden in everyday life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Kindness Corner so you never miss another heartfelt story. I had lived in the same apartment building for nearly 3 years. Life followed the same quiet rhythm every day. I worked remotely, kept mostly to myself, and exchanged polite greetings with neighbors without ever knowing much about them. The exception was Emma, the woman living across the hallway. She had moved in after a painful divorce, though I only learned that from casual conversations with the elderly landlord. She always smiled, but it was the kind of smile that looked carefully practiced, as if she had spent months teaching herself to hide sadness behind kindness. She watered the flowers outside her door every morning, helped older residents carry groceries upstairs, and somehow remembered everyone's birthday except her own. We slowly became friends through small moments, sharing homemade meals, fixing broken furniture together, and watching sunsets from the rooftop whenever life felt especially heavy. One Friday evening we walked back from the neighborhood market carrying shopping bags when a man we had seen around the area suddenly approached Emma. His confidence quickly turned into persistence. She politely refused to continue the conversation, but he refused to accept her answer. He kept stepping closer while she looked increasingly uncomfortable. I didn't think. I simply stepped beside her and calmly wrapped an arm around her shoulders before saying she was my girlfriend and that we needed to leave. For a heartbeat everything became perfectly still. The stranger looked embarrassed, muttered something under his breath, and finally walked away. I immediately turned toward Emma, ready to apologize for speaking without asking her permission, but instead of letting go, she gently intertwined her fingers with mine. Her eyes were filled with emotions I couldn't immediately understand. She quietly admitted that hearing someone claim her with respect instead of control felt strangely comforting after everything she had endured. She asked me not to take the words back just yet because, for the first time in years, she felt safe. That evening changed the atmosphere between us. Nothing became romantic overnight. Instead, our friendship deepened in ways neither of us expected. We spent more evenings talking about the scars life leaves behind. I confessed how my own engagement had ended years earlier after being betrayed by someone I trusted completely. Emma admitted that her marriage had slowly destroyed her confidence until she believed she wasn't worth loving anymore. We weren't trying to fix each other. We simply listened without judgment, something neither of us had experienced in a very long time. Sometimes healing begins with advice, but more often it begins with someone quietly staying beside you while the pain speaks for itself. Weeks passed, and neighbors naturally assumed we were dating. Surprisingly, neither of us corrected them. The simple act of pretending slowly became less like an act. We laughed more freely. The apartment hallway no longer felt empty because someone was always knocking on the other's door with coffee, leftovers, or an excuse to share another conversation. I noticed Emma humming while watering her flowers again. She noticed I smiled more during our rooftop evenings than I had in years. Without realizing it, we had become the home each of us had been searching for. Life, however, rarely allows happiness without testing its strength. One afternoon Emma's former husband unexpectedly appeared outside the building. He wasn't violent, but his words reopened every wound she had struggled to heal. He insisted she had made a mistake leaving him and tried convincing her that nobody else would ever truly love her. I watched her confidence begin to disappear as old fears returned to her face. Before she could retreat into silence, I stepped beside her again, not because we were pretending anymore, but because nobody deserves to stand alone while facing the ghosts of their past. I calmly reminded her that she owed nobody an explanation for choosing peace over pain. She stood a little taller. For the first time, she answered her past without apologizing for surviving it. Her former husband eventually walked away, realizing the woman he once controlled no longer existed. That evening Emma cried, not because she was broken again, but because she finally understood she had become stronger than the memories haunting her. She thanked me for believing in her long before she believed in herself. I realized then that love isn't always fireworks or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it's quietly helping someone remember their own worth after life has convinced them they've lost it. Months later, during another sunset on the rooftop where our friendship had quietly grown into something beautiful, I reached for her hand exactly as she had reached for mine that unforgettable evening. This time there was no danger, no pretending, and no audience. There was only honesty. We smiled because neither of us needed complicated words anymore. The sentence that had once been invented to protect her had become completely true. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind people they are never alone. Special request: before the story ends, please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe one caring moment can completely transform someone's future. Looking back, I often think about how close we came to remaining strangers living only a few feet apart. One brave decision, one simple act of standing beside another human being, changed everything. The greatest love stories aren't always planned. Sometimes they begin with ordinary kindness offered at exactly the right moment. They grow through patience, trust, forgiveness, and the quiet courage to stay when everyone else walks away. And if this story teaches anything, it's that the hand you reach out to protect today might become the hand you hold for the rest of your life.